We're back with Ken Beerger and paramedic, firefighter, photographer. I've known you since almost my very beginning of emergency services. The photography part came in later, right?
Well, no. Let me take you back in time.
Okay.
I graduated Germantown High School in 1970. Came out of school. I had a high number in the lottery, so I didn't have to go off to Vietnam. I was in the high 200s. People know what I'm talking about from that era. And I said, what am I going to do with my life? And my parents, who were blue collar and bare bones, says, well, we can't send you to college, but what do you like? And I always liked photography, and he sent me off to Antonelli School of Photography in 1970, which was at Broad and Cherry in the city. And I did 16, 18-month program there, and I always loved it, but couldn't make a living out of it. In fact, the first thing I shot was a big affair, and I shot it, of course, in those days in film, and I wanted to be artsy with it. I used a lot of natural lighting, and I shot at very slow speed, so I had a lot of motion blur, and I didn't know that till the film came back, and I was sickened by it. So I went into a career which was HVAC and stayed with that for a long time.
Oh, so there was this point in there where you ran away like a scorned lover from photography.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, you got to pay bills.
Yeah.
And contrary to what it's like today, I moved out away from my parents when I was like 17. So I have my own place. I have a car. I have insurance to pay. I got food to buy.
That's unheard of nowadays. You know?
Right. But back in the so-called hippie era, you couldn't get away from home quick enough.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Now it's like you go out in your 30s or 40s as you're moving out. Yeah. And you move out for 5 years and you move back.
No. So I had paid bills, and, photography came back to me not too long ago, maybe about 15 or so years ago.
Okay.
The digital era made it so much easier, to be able to work from a laptop, let's say, that rather than a dark room.
But you're still a traditionalist, too, because you still use film cameras.
I still shoot film. I love to shoot film. I think it has a very organic feel and look to it. And I'll develop black and white at home because it's just so expensive to do outside. But I'm engaged with the chemistry, and it gives me a calming sort of repose to do it. So yeah, I still shoot film and do digital, and I just love to shoot. And if anybody's listening out there that cares to go see my pictures, just Google my name and it'll take you to my site. You'll see all those great photos, including a mark.
Ken Beerger, Beerger. Photography.
Give myself a plug.
Because I don't want to say I was surprised, because it makes it sound like I didn't think that it'd be, but when I went there and you took the pictures, and I don't let people generally take my picture, but it was because it was you. Oh. And when I went there and you took the picture, I was surprised to see that different side of you. It's odd to see a different side of someone and you had the whole setup and everything, and then you took some film ones, and because I love taking pictures. My brother was both my brothers were big into photography, and they would develop their own film and everything, and we take pictures differently now. We take them with digital things, and now if a picture's good or bad right after you take it. Right. And there's advantages, but I think that some of the art and some of the value is gone from it, because I think I don't think we take better pictures. I think we take more, and because of that, we don't value them as much.
Well, that's also another avenue that why I like to shoot film is you have to take your time. You have to meter. You have to think about light. With digital, you can do, as they say, spray and pray.
Yeah.
Just, you could just do a 360, pushing your shutter button, and I'll bet one of those 300 pictures are going to look so damn good you're going to want to hang it up. But that's just the way it is. I still, though, I'm a very technical shooter. I'm not out there looking for work, by the way. That's not why I gave that plug. I just enjoy it as a hobby. If something comes along where somebody wants me to shoot something, then I see if I if it's something that I want
you'd
to
be
do.
picky about it because you wouldn't just do anything.
Yeah, but I do enjoy shooting folks that enjoy having me there. Like if I just got a phone call that said, I don't know you and we never met, I want you to shoot this wedding, I'd be maybe hesitant. And I'm going to say this as well. I've done some pretty laborious work in my life. And this is a shout out to the older photographers out there, a pat on the back. And shooting a wedding is one of the toughest things I have ever done. My hat's off to those folks, and I know they charge good money for it. I hear $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 shoot a wedding, but it's a 12+ hour day, and you're running the whole time. And you got to make a lot of people happy.
And you've only got one chance.
Yeah, that's true, too.
One chance.
You better bring a lot of extra batteries and cards.
Yeah, and you don't want to ruin a special day.
And here's another tip. Never show women the back of your camera, you shot of them.
Why, it slows you up because they want to
they hate it. They all hate the way they look. They could be 10 over 10s. I'm not trying to sound like a chauvinist or something, but they'll go, oh, no, that's not right. That's not, I don't like that. Don't ever do it, you budding photographers out there.
Yeah. I see that at the DMV now. They give you a choice of which picture to take, and that's just a mistake.
Yeah.
It's like long as my eyes are open in the picture, that's fine. That's
a big one, the eyes open.
Yeah.
That's if I take more than 2 or 3 frames, so I get everybody's eyes open.
Yeah.
Because it's a real pain to have to, Photoshop eyes and it could be done.
They could do anything on Photoshop. I had
but it's a pain.
I had somebody that passed away, and I redid a picture. There weren't many pictures, and he was particularly grumpy, and I had to crank a smile onto him, and they said, "How'd you get?" It's just the smallest smile. I said, "It was everything I could do in Photoshop to get that little bit of a smile." But you can do it. But there's something to be said for like the pictures you took for the fire department. There's something to be said. The equipment is different, and you can have good equipment, but you can't buy the eye. Of a photographer.
No, you can't.
And, you're a bit of a lighting fanatic. You're a lighting Nazi. It's like got this over there.
I like dramatic lighting. I'm kind of stuck in the lighting that was famously used in the 30s and the 40s.
Is that like film noir?
Film noir. Yeah, I really like that dramatic lighting and shallow lighting. And that's what I like to do. Now, if folks don't like that, they're not going to be happy with my photographs because, hey, if I could put a plug out there, one thing I do like doing is shooting company photos. So any companies out there that would like to have their staff pictures taken, I just enjoy shooting it. I'll come out to your place and I'll do a real nice job.
That's actually a good, emergency services photos, department photos and stuff that crosses your passions.
I like that. I've always liked shooting faces. That's a big thing. I was just at a swap meet this past weekend, a motorcycle swap meet, and I brought my Nikon F shooting 35 millimeter film, and I look for character. I told you, your face has character. And I look for, and sometimes people go, hey, look, in this day and age they don't know where their photo's going to wind up. It's kind of hard to walk up to somebody. A lot of these folks that got character are like outlaws. Yeah. Right? They go, wait a second, are you with the FBI or? No, dude, if you don't want it, that's okay. But would you mind standing over here? I got some great shots this past weekend.
Well, it's when you do that lighting, the way you do the lighting, you can tell a story just from the person's face, like you're saying. And it's like when you see somebody that looks overly smooth and youthful and everything. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of story there. I stayed inside and put cream slate on. Yeah. I put cream.
Yeah, so I tend to look for wrinkly, pocked faces, beards, high brows,
Yeah.
I'm looking for a certain look.
Not the classic beauty, more of a rugged handsomeness. Yeah.
Although my daughter-in-laws, who have been so patient with me and have sat through many a photo shoot because it's hard for me to get subjects, are beautiful ladies, and I think I've done a nice job with them as well.
Why is it hard for you to get subjects?
Just is. I don't know what to tell you.
Timing and you're picky?
Well, I haven't put it out there, I guess, And that sounds kind of creepy coming from an old guy, you know. Well, you want to sit for me in my studio, young lady?
Yeah, I guess that is hard to say.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a creep factor in there. So.
Yeah, and that's something a lot of people don't do as they get older. That's very self-aware because I see a lot of people, and I call it managing your creepiness once you get over 50, and you got to do different things. You can't tell the same jokes and stuff without a disclaimer, and you can't say, "So, would you like to come over to my place and take some pictures of you?" You know?
Oh, I have lost wedding shoots because I just don't. I look maybe a little scared to some people or something like that. They want somebody relatively their age, 25 or something years old, and dressed hip and whatever that may be, and more relatable perhaps.
Skinny jeans and like a
skinny jeans,
hat
right?
And,
skinny jeans, rolled up cuffs,
tiny glasses,
sort of. Amorphous and sexually and and just I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
they don't.
I know that. I can feel it. Go, who's this guy? But then I've done biker weddings, and they go, "Hey, yeah, well, would you come down to shoot our wedding?"
Do you have a favorite camera?
Huh. Interesting you asked that. Because if it was the digital, we'll go digital. Okay. So we'll go digital. My D800, you can't beat that camera. It's a full frame camera. I just has such a wide band of color, and it's just a great camera. In film, that's a tough one. I'm shooting with a Maya C330, which is large format, and it's a crank, and it's the twin lens reflex, and you're kind of like looking through it, which I really like, down, because it throws people off when you're pointing a big camera lens at people. It's like you're aiming a gun at them, and you got to shoot fast because it'll spook them. But when you're shooting, you're looking down, and they don't know you're looking at them. You get some great shots.
That's interesting. I never thought about that from the way that camera's like a reverse periscope.
Yeah.
Because I've always felt that many a great picture has been ruined by a camera aimed at the person.
Once they know you're on them, you've lost it.
You've lost it.
Yeah. They're going to either pose, or they're going to get shy, or they're going to get withdrawn. It doesn't take much. It could take just a little bit of a wrinkle in the chin or something to change the whole look. And
I'm amazed at how, this is a little sexist maybe, but every woman knows how to pose for a camera.
Oh, yeah.
Every woman. They just all pose like it's coordinated.
Isn't that something?
And every guy just does the same dub pose, and like, the
typical shot you see on Facebook, the females will put one hand on the hip, sort of like jut that hip out, and they have this whole pose, and you can see it's probably learned it from watching models or something.
Well, there's that, and there's the duck lips thing that I don't even understand what's going on with that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's just wrong. Do you use Photoshop a lot when you're doing, or do you consider it kind of a compromise?
You see, the funny thing about the creative mind and what you have to do is allow yourself to be able to change. So when I first got into the digital process, I was heavily involved with Photoshop. Man, I'd fix every wrinkle. I'd soften skin. I'd put a glow. And, I thought that was just the greatest thing since sliced bread. And now I look back on some of my earlier work and I go, whoa, that's too much.
Right.
So now I'm going back to more like, let's get it right out of camera and maybe just do the most minimal amount of working with it. Maybe put a vignette around it.
Right.
Just brush a little bit. But I like a more natural look now.
So you're back to being more of a purist.
Yeah. But there's so many add-ons you could put into your software that, you just push a button and you go, yeah, do that. And some of it's horrible. HDR, for instance, was the biggest thing just a couple of years ago. Everybody was shooting in HDR, and most of it is horrific. It doesn't look real. It looks like something out of a nightmare.
Yeah.
Unless it's done really, really well with a lot of talent. It's very hard to make HDR look good.
Who took your favorite picture of you?
You just did today. Print it. I like that. With your iPhone 8.
Yeah.
That's another reason you can't make a living in this industry anymore. Is